Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're tackling something that literally trips up almost every single language learner at some point, and that's moving beyond direct translation. You know the exact feeling, right? You translate a sentence perfectly in your head, word for word, but then you say it out loud and a native speaker just looks a little bit confused? Well, that is exactly what we're fixing today. Our goal here is to help you sound incredibly natural in English, completely ditching those clunky, rigid textbook translations that honestly just steer you in the wrong direction. So, to kick things off, why exactly do we say make a mistake instead of do a mistake? In a lot of languages, the verb you'd use for this is the direct equivalent of do. So logically, do a mistake should work flawlessly. But, well, it doesn't. Direct translations completely fail us here, and yeah, I know that can be super frustrating. But honestly, this specific question is the perfect gateway into understanding how native English actually flows. And that perfectly brings us to our core concept for today: the collocation. The easiest way to think about collocations is to picture them as verb and noun best friends. They're just words that naturally love to hang out together in English. Native speakers aren't sitting around memorizing complex grammar rules to pair these up. They use these specific combinations totally instinctively, just because they've heard them grouped together thousands of times. When you use the wrong verb, it's kind of like breaking up two best friends. It just instantly sounds unnatural. Okay, let's see this in action with scenario 1, the office hustle. Picture a really busy workplace. The pressure is absolutely on. I need to make a decision before I make a mistake. Look at how the verb make anchors both of those thoughts. You don't do a decision, and as we just talked about, you don't do a mistake. Make implies that you are creating or producing something that wasn't there before. The decision and the mistake are the creations. When you pair them up correctly like this, the sentence instantly sounds fluent. Then you get this reassuring response from a coworker. Just take a break. We can take responsibility for this later. Notice how the word take is used so seamlessly here in the middle of a stressful moment. Take a break and take responsibility. You are physically or mentally receiving or accepting something. You don't make a break, you take one. Grasping this specific grouping takes all that mechanical, robotic feel right out of your spoken English. And they wrap up the conversation with, true. If we want to do business and get better, we can't rush. So check out how do and get function here. Do business refers to the general activity, right? The ongoing process. Get better implies a transformation or a change in state. They just flow right off the tongue. When you learn these phrases as complete chunks, your speaking speed and your natural rhythm are going to absolutely skyrocket. Actually, let's step out of the office for just a second to focus on two incredibly common, everyday tasks: getting a job and doing homework. Again, get implies acquiring something. You acquire the job. And do is all about the task itself, the execution. You don't make homework because you aren't creating it from scratch. You're just completing an assigned activity. Mastering these basic combinations is absolutely foundational. All right, let's shift gears a bit. Scenario 2, the dinner meeting. We're in a social business setting now, so the vibe is a bit more relaxed. The dinner conversation kicks off like this: if we have a meeting to fix it, we won't have a problem. Look at how beautifully the word have bridges those two ideas. Have a meeting, have a problem. It just indicates possession or simply experiencing a situation. It's a very soft, natural way to express that a situation exists without overcomplicating your sentences. And a colleague responds, let's come prepared tomorrow so we don't have to come back. This brilliantly illustrates the practical, everyday use of come. Come prepared is practically an idiom in the business world. It just means arriving in a state of complete readiness. And come back is your standard everyday phrase for returning. It's direct, it's clear, and it's exactly how native speakers construct their thoughts. To conclude the dialogue, we get agreed. Now let's pay the bill. It'll save time and save money. We've got some deeply idiomatic pairings here. Pay the bill, save time, save money. In English, time is very often treated exactly like a physical currency. You save it, you spend it, you waste it. Associating save with both time and money is a vital pattern to lock into your memory for sure. And hey, speaking of treating things like currency, remember the phrase pay attention? Why do we pay attention? Well, native speakers use this because your mental focus is valuable. You're giving your focus to someone or something, much like handing over cash. When you understand the logic behind the collocation, it sticks with you so much longer. All right, time to step into the correction zone. Listen, it's completely normal to slip up and direct translate in your head. But let's analyze and fix some of the absolute most common errors. Instead of the literal do a mistake or make homework, we really need to focus entirely on the natural native collocations. Make a mistake and do homework. Seriously, burn these correct patterns into your memory. Okay, let's inject a little energy here. It is pop quiz time. We're going to test your newfound pattern recognition skills. Do you make a break or take a break? Think back to our office hustle scenario from earlier. I'm going to give you a deliberate beat of silence right now to lock in your answer. Say it out loud if you can. And the answer is, take a break. Awesome job if you nailed that. Remember, mastering these combinations is all about real-world context. You take the time for yourself, you mentally receive the rest. You aren't manufacturing it. Keeping that context in mind is going to help you guess the right collocation almost every single time. Now, understanding this stuff is great, but speaking is where the magic actually happens. Welcome to the practice lab. We are going to do an active shadowing session right now to build some muscle memory. I'll read a sentence, and during the pause, I want you to read it out loud, right? I need to make a decision. Notice the flow there? It's smooth. Make a decision. Let's try the next one. Here's your second practice sentence. Again, listen and repeat during the pause. Let's save time and pay the bill. Great. Notice how save time and pay the bill act as these solid, unbreakable chunks of meaning. You're doing fantastic. Let's do just one more. Last one. Try to really focus on the stress and the rhythm of the collocations here. Ready? We must come prepared to do business.
Excellent. Come prepared, do business. The more you practice speaking in these chunks, the more completely automatic they'll become in your everyday conversations.
So how do we carry all this forward? Let's quickly summarize with some pro-native speaker tips. First, notice the rhythm and stress in spoken English. The important words, the verbs and nouns in these collocations, they get the stress. Second, learn words in patterned chunks, not isolated by themselves. Don't just learn the word make. Learn the entire phrase, make a decision. And finally, please avoid word-for-word translation from your native language. It is a total trap. Start noticing these patterns and your English is going to sound so much more natural. It really is that simple. Once you tune your ears to hear these verb-noun best friends, you'll honestly start hearing them everywhere. Which brings me to my final question for you. What collocations will you hear today? Keep your ears open, listen closely to native speakers, and actively hunt for these pairings. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.